but technically we're live.
Okay.
But what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for about 30 seconds. There's 4 people waiting already for us.
4 people, woohoo!
4 people. But like I said, I'm not sure because I'm not in the studio whether they can actually hear us or not. I'm pretty sure they can hear us. So they now know that we're live. My computer still says 15:59 though, so I'm not going to go until my computer says 4 p.m. on the nose, 1600 hours. Come on, sir. So, it's so exciting. It's so exciting.
I love the drawing.
When my thing clicks over, we'll go.
So
right.
Great.
All so right great. Then. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do this.
La.
Hello and welcome to What Did They Do Before? I am the most important one. My name's Iszi Lawrence and I'm a fabulous author and a history fan. And over on the interwebs, which is that way, she's that way, I have a fabulous author and a history fan, and that is Caroline Lawrence.
Hi, I know nothing. Izzy's the mastermind. Anything goes wrong, blame her. However, I do have my friend here today. This is my pet chicken. Her name is Galina. Galina. That is Latin for hen. So Galina. She's going to help me if I get stuck with some difficult questions. I love chickens, Izzy. You know why? Because in ancient history, they had chickens everywhere. And so whenever I'm watching a TV show or reading a book or going to the movies and I see chickens in the background, I go, yes, chickens.
It's disappointing. I saw that movie. Which was it? It's the one when they were. It was Troy, wasn't it? And in Troy, in ancient Turkey, right, which is nowhere near South America, they had a llama. Anyway,
at least they didn't have a turkey, even though it was Turkey.
I suppose, but a llama is still pretty. It might have been an alpaca.
We should analyze that show and just go every time they got something wrong. Yeah,
it's amazing. The movie Troy. They put coins in the eyes in the Bronze Age. Anyway, that's a bit advanced. We're not going to do that. This is a show called What Did They Do Before? So we're going to talk about what they did before certain things were invented. Now, in 1886. Carl Benz, right? He invented something which you can probably see if you looked outside right now, and that is a car. What did people do before cars? Now, obviously, we know that there are many other transport alternatives. There were like boats and trains and stilts, and actually pogo sticks were invented after the car, I think. But we're going to focus on one particular thing that they had before a car, and that is obviously the horse.
And his nearby equine relatives.
Yes. What do we know about horses, Caroline?
Well, actually, just to say, if I look out my window, which I'm just going to quickly do a screen, just swivel,
Ooh.
I've got the river Thames out there, though I've closed my curtains. So I can see boats. So I can see boats. Yeah.
That's all right. I can see a van.
We got no cars, but I got it. So, well, yes. They used horses, and well, actually, most people think they used horses to like pull their carriages and stuff, but that's actually wrong in Roman times, especially. That's my small area of expertise. They used
just tiny area of expertise. How many books?
25 plus set in ancient Rome. I am a nerd about ancient Rome. So they didn't use horses to pull carts, really. They used mules to pull carts or oxen. Horses were super swish and posh. So you had a horse and that showed you were the upper middle class, or the horses pulled chariots. Now, Izzy, I wonder if you can tell me, what do you think the most popular entertainment among the ancient Romans was in, say, the first century, the empire, the age of the empire?
First century. So when you've got a nice like emperor who likes to watch people die, it must be the Circus Maximus. So was it the gladiators fighting in the Circus Maximus?
Well, almost. The gladiators were now in the Colosseum. Well, when Vespasian built the Colosseum. But anyway, yes, people usually think the gladiatorial combats and the beast fights, 2 different things, by the way, were the most popular. But no, the most popular, you did get kind of it right, because the Circus Maximus was the race course where they held races. And I don't know if any of you've seen the movie Ben-Hur, where they have these wonderful chariot races, big wooden metal chariots with sides. And so, no, forget all that. The chariot races, they had 4 stallions,
Ooh.
ungelded, pulling something like a basket on wheels because it wants to be as light as it can be. And driving these baskets on wheels were usually adolescent youths, like teenage boys.
Oh my goodness. So it's more like a drag race now where you have the big engines. Those were your horses and a tiny little car.
It was terrifying. And they did all 12 laps. And by the way, we have the bell of shame for self-promotion.
Oh, yeah.
In my book, The Charioteer of Delphi, I can tell you, read this book. I did a year of research on this book to find out exactly what went on in the Circus Maximus in the ancient Roman racecourse. And the wonderful thing about the Circus Maximus, quick digression, is that was where boys could meet girls because they could all sit mixed up. Whereas in the amphitheater for gladiator shows, they were all like segregated, like tiers of a cake. So yeah. So horses used to pull chariots for like the equivalent of modern Formula One racing rather than pull carts, the equivalent of modern cars and trucks. For that, mules and oxen.
Nice. I can also do the, hang on, I don't have a bell. I've got a right, promoing The Unstoppable Letty Pegg, which is set a bit later on.
Everybody.
Bit later on. It's in 1910. It's a bit later. But people sort of think, well, we don't really use horses anymore, but we still do. The police still use horses in like riot situations.
Yes.
And the suffragettes were often up against the police in riot situations. And in my book, I talk about how they used jiu-jitsu against the police, but they also had a sneaky method for disabling a police horse without harming the horse itself. What they used to do, they used to get an Indian club, which was a bit bottle shaped, and they'd hit it in the exact spot by its leg. Do not do this to actual police horses. 1, you will get in trouble. 2, you might get kicked. And 3, it's not very nice. But they used to hit them in the right spot, the exact right spot on the leg, and the horse would sit down and the policeman would fall off it and they'd laugh at him and steal his helmet, because policemen's helmets, they had to buy them themselves. So you could often get away if you just like threw his helmet, he'd go after the helmet rather than chase you. Top tip. Doesn't work anymore though, so don't annoy the police unless you're a suffragette. Do it then. But yes, that's how you can disable a police horse.
So useful, such a useful fact. Thanks. And you can do it even if you don't know jiu-jitsu. You can just take that club and just I
wouldn't do it. It's a bit dangerous yourself, so don't. I'm not advocating that.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Well, I have another fun fact about can I talk about mules for a second?
Yeah, do you want me to share your thing?
Yeah, share my thing. Another bell of self-promotion.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Hang on. There we go.
There you go. I've been working on this thing called the Amarantis Project, which is a Latin course, a Latin history, Roman history course for kids in Key Stage 3. That's like 12, 13, 14-year-old cool kids. And it's all based on a real insula island block in Pompeii around this guy's bar and house. And his name was Amarantis. And he has a really big nose. We found some graffiti of him with that ginormous nose. You can see him right there. The illustrations are by Laura Jenkinson, who's fantastic. And the reason Amarantis has a mule next to him and a dog is because in the front room of his house, when they excavated it, they found the bones of a mule with a little dog right beside him. So it's like they were best friends, but they died in the eruption of Vesuvius. And like many other people, they found their bones or the shape left in the hardened ash, the mold, the empty shape. But they actually found the bones of a mule. So you could keep a mule in your house. And it makes sense because you don't want to really keep it in an outbuilding where a thief might steal him. You want him right there where you can keep an eye on him.
But don't they smell?
You don't really notice that in ancient Roman times. There's so many other smells. I think the smell of a stable, the hay, and a mule would be quite pleasant, actually, and quite warm, maybe, and fragrant. But he probably carried wine from the port in big, heavy amphoras up to Amarantis's wine bar, where Amarantis sold exotic wines. So mules, the way we load up a car, you'd load up a mule instead of, probably wouldn't load up a horse. So I just love the fact that that mule died by a little dog, and we've worked it into a whole story, and he becomes an intrinsic part. His name is Patiscus, which means tipsy in Latin. It means he likes a little bit of wine. The only way to get him moving is to dangle some wine in front of him, let him smell some wine.
I can't believe you're writing about an alcoholic animal. Honestly.
Well, he's not an alcoholic. He just likes a little tipple every so often.
Just a little
and
bit.
He's actually named after a real mule from Ostia. Well, a mosaic of a mule in Ostia. There was a special baths for the mule drivers, like taxi drivers. And there's one mosaic, a black and white mosaic, that names 4 different mules, and one of them is called Patiscus, Tipsy.
That's amazing. That's fascinating.
So
because
fascinating.
I mean, because presumably before mules, then they're more of a replacement instead of a car of the truck, or because they'd just do transporting goods and things like that. They wouldn't transport people.
Yes. So a horse equals a race car, Formula One race car.
Okay.
And a pickup truck equals a mule, or whatever you call pickup trucks here in this country. A truck, okay. A white van equals a mule.
But what people don't realise is how much of an issue having all of these mules, or later on in London, for example, in Victorian times, horses. There were so many horses in London. There were over 50,000 horses just doing public transport. So that is just the hansom cabs, which are like normal cabs, except really attractive hansom cabs. And there were also buses, the omnibuses. Each omnibus, as it goes around London, it's powered by either 4 or 6 horses. And of course, they need brakes. So you're looking at 12 horses per hansom cab. Now, Caroline,
12 horses.
Yeah, exactly. Guess how much a horse will weigh during a day?
I'm going to ask my friend Galina the hen.
Yeah, go on.
Galina, how much pee does a horse produce during a day? She says 10 gallons.
That's a lot. No, it's not that much. It's only 2 pints, but it's up to 35 pounds of manure.
Okay, wait, stop. What? 2 pints. Kids, imagine your dad drinking a pint of beer. Imagine 2 of those. That's how much a horse weighs, right?
Yeah, okay. That's how much a horse weighs.
And how much is it?
35 pounds. So how much is that in relative
I think that's the size of your 2-year-old younger brother, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. And if he'd eaten a lot of cake. So that's a lot of manure. So, and also what's really gross is that people didn't look after the horses very well. So the average life of a horse in London in Victorian times was about 3 years. And they were just used to, how there was no breakdown service, there's no AA. So they just used to leave dead horses at the side of the road if they got, and they said they left them for longer because it was much easier to sort of dice them up and take them away. Right? Which is really sad. But it also means that London was full of poo. Full of poo and wee and dead horses, all the time. And they thought there was going to be a crisis. They thought that London couldn't expand anymore because at the time there was we're talking 1894 here. And they thought that, it was the biggest city in the world, it's still going to expand and we're just going to die in horse poo. And they called it the Great Horse Manure Crisis of 1894. And if it hadn't been for the car and the popularisation of the car in the earliest 20th century, right, we'd have all died because of horse poo. Maybe.
I've got to go back and put more poo in my books.
There is a nativity in my book which is full of horse poo. You should read it. But there we go. Now listen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we said that we wanted to make this 10 to 15 minutes long. It has been exactly 13 minutes long so far. So thank you so much for tuning in. Caroline, hold up your magic book of dreams again, so that people know to, and also if you have anything that you want to know, what did they do before in the past, pick up your book.
Which book? Any book.
Whichever you want to, the one you held up before with the horses.
Oh, the one with the horses. Yay! There we go.
I'll hold up my one. Yeah, if you want to, write to us. We're on Twitter, but also you can write underneath this video. If you can write something that you want to find out what they did before. I mean, things like loo paper. What did people do before loo paper? What did people do before trainers? What did they do before all of these things? Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll give you some lovely, fun bits of history every single week. But other than that, please do share this video with your friends and with other, share it with grown-ups as well if you want to, but they have to be good grown-ups who we like. Yeah. Good. Okay then. And thank you very much. Wave goodbye. Wave goodbye to her. What was the hen called again?
Galina.
Galina.
And a boy hen would be a rooster. No, he'd be Gallus. A Gallus is a boy hen. Gallus, and they had puns about galls. And anyway, we don't want to get into that. Galina.
No, we're gonna be here forever. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for watching. Bye.
Bye.